You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This One's Wife. Montecito Meltdown. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. As you know, Trooping the Colour took place on Saturday, and following the weekend boycott of discussing This One's Wife, well, it is necessary to discuss and observe about the impact of this event on the narcissist. Princess Catherine made her first return, in terms of a public appearance, since her cancer announcement. This coverage was everywhere. Across the newspapers, across media outlets, across broadcast news, and of course, throughout social media. As there she appeared, looking beautiful, thin, but she always has been thin, with her husband and her children, and her appearance received much coverage across the front pages as the BBC Roundup on Sunday morning stated that pictures of a beaming Princess of Wales dominated nearly all of the front pages. The Sunday Telegraph led with, "Our fair lady lifts the nation's spirits." The Sun on Sunday stated, "The Princess is a super trooper." It says she made a triumphant first public appearance after revealing she has cancer. The Mail on Sunday called it the day that lifted the nation's hearts. "Kate to have you back," stated the Sunday Mirror, reporting that a radiant Princess of Wales brought sunshine to a rainy parade. The Sunday Express noted her spectacular return. Fox News reported Kate Middleton is the ultimate trooper for appearing at royal ceremony amid cancer battle. People, Kate Middleton's Trooping the Colour outfit was actually an upcycled piece from her royal wardrobe, going on to praise her for her sustainability in relation to clothing. Elle magazine, Kate Middleton makes her grand return in a bow-adorned white dress at Trooping the Colour 2024. Sky News, beaming Kate returns to royal events at Trooping the Colour. People again, Kate Middleton and King Charles's emotional bond on display at Trooping the Colour. Harper's Bazaar, King Charles delighted at Princess Kate's attendance at Trooping the Colour. Just some of their headlines reporting on Catherine's return to public appearances, albeit not in a repeated capacity, but for the purposes of Trooping the Colour. Notwithstanding This One's Wife's pathetic attempt to upstage the event, something which, of course, I predicted would be attempted by her, her narcissism just simply could not let it pass without her attempting to gain some coverage for herself, an attempt to deflect from all of the attention. Well, it singularly failed. Each headline would have elicited the smashing of a plate, a shriek of fury from This One's Wife. The fact is, This One's Wife not only needs fuel, the emotional output of others, but she also cannot stand to be reminded of anybody being superior to her because her narcissism tells her that she is the best. The fact that she will have seen, and we all know, she will have been watching, reading the newspapers, she will have been looking at the coverage, no doubt after the event, because she'd have probably been sound asleep whilst it was taking place, but she will have looked. Those headlines, the praise for Catherine, the lauding her appearance, calling her a trooper, etc., all of that will have wounded This One's Wife. It will have wounded her because it's fuel that's going towards Catherine. Catherine doesn't need that fuel because she's not a narcissist. But the fact that people are commenting on Catherine and not This One's Wife is problematic for This One's Wife. Thus, because the coverage is going elsewhere, it wounds her. It is a reminder that she is not important, makes her feel weakened, vulnerable. It's even worse because it relates to the nemesis. This one's wife has a particular focus on Catherine, William, Charles, Camilla, etc., but particularly Catherine. Because part of this one's wife believes that that should be her. That she should be the one that is adored by the crowds. That she should be the one that is going to become Queen of England. Notwithstanding the fact that William had no interest in her, notwithstanding the fact that she married the spare, the delusion of her narcissism tells her that should have been you. And that stokes her hatred of Catherine. The twisted and perverse belief that it should have been her, even though it could never have been her, fuels that hatred of Catherine. You've got what is mine. Even, of course, that makes no sense whatsoever, because William was with Kate years before this one's wife came on the scene, and even if Kate hadn't been around, there is no way that William would have hooked up with this one's wife. But such facts as those are irrelevant in the universe that this one's wife occupies. She believes that it should have been her, and that somehow Catherine conspired to prevent that from happening. Believe me, these are the twisted delusions that run through the mind of this one's wife, and as such, this powers her entrenched hatred of Catherine. As a consequence, any favourable coverage of Catherine drives this one's wife nuts. She will have been savouring and revelling the bullying that Catherine received in relation to her absence as a consequence of her ill health. Not once did this one's wife speak out in defence of her sister-in-law, despite the fact that she claims to want to clamp down on misinformation and disinformation. We all know she's a hypocrite in that regard. Not once did she condemn the vile attacks, the disgusting speculation towards the Princess of Wales. Not once did she do anything to call off the hordes of the Sussex squad as they continued with their preposterous and unpleasant suggestions as to what had happened to the Princess of Wales. No, she wouldn't do so because it served a purpose, because she enjoyed those attacks. She relished seeing Catherine being talked about in that fashion. Her narcissism will have told her that Catherine deserved it, that she shouldn't be such a liar, that she actually believed some of the speculation that was being bandied around. However, given the fact that the Princess of Wales has made such a triumphant return, albeit she's not getting completely back in the saddle, this will have caused a meltdown in Montecito. Newspaper front page after newspaper front page, heralding her, pictures of her looking radiant. She'll have tore up the newspapers if they'd have been delivered to her house. Instead, there may have to be a number of new iPads purchased as they've been flung across the room, smashing against the wall. The rage from within, the ignited, heated fury are surfacing as she could no longer contain what is repeatedly bubbling beneath the surface. Believe me, the coverage of the events of the Trooping the Colour will have caused a meltdown. It would not be the case that she wouldn't look. She has to look. Her narcissism compels her to do so. She does, and she sees the outpouring of support, the love and affection for the Princess of Wales, the crowds, the newspaper headlines, the coverage that appears in the broadcast news, the comments across social media. Yes, the trolls were out in force also with their ridiculous allegations of AI, etc., but they got short shrift. Overwhelmingly, it was a success for the Princess of Wales. And thus, for the narcissist, with the attention being on the nemesis, it was a dark day indeed, that it would have caused massive wounding to this one's wife. She would have fought back against it by seeking control, by smearing Catherine to, no doubt, Harry or whoever else might be listening. She would have repeatedly told herself awful things about Catherine in order to jettison her, and thus seek control through the third assertion of control. She would have received fuel from Harry, desperately trying to calm her down, from other people around her telling her not to worry about it. I'm sure that the raspberry jam will be a success, such fuel being provided, which will address the wounds caused by this extensive favourable coverage of the Princess of Wales. But it will have caused a meltdown. She would not have been able to keep that heated, ignited fury under control. It would have erupted, and the screams would have been reverberating through the American Riviera, maybe even reaching the orchard, as a consequence of this substantial wounding that she experienced. That is what it is like to be the narcissist that is this one's wife, affected so much by the coverage of someone that ordinarily you ought to be pleased for, that you ought to be pleased that they're recovering from cancer, that they're able to make an appearance. But of course she isn't pleased, because not only does she have no emotional empathy for her, but she sees her as a rival. Thus, there will have been that meltdown in Montecito. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.